Hey everyone, Professor Adjuvant here, and in this video I want to show you how to utilize your calculator to find x-intercepts. Okay, so on the left of the screen you can see the calculator here, so you can follow along and see what buttons I'm pressing. If you fall behind or you can't see immediately what I'm pressing, you can always look at the bottom and you'll see a key press history. So you can see the sequence of buttons that I'm pressing to do whatever we're doing. And in the center here you can see the screen. Hopefully you can follow along with this video, and if you have any errors that I don't address, comment them down below and I'll try to help you out the best I can. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is put the equation that we're trying to find the x-intercepts for into our calculator. So we want to hit this y equals button in the top left of our calculator. We can press that and we see all of these different y's, y1, 2, 3, and so on, that we can put different equations in. Right? Our calculator can hold a number of different equations. If you have something in here already, you can just hit the clear button and it'll get rid of that equation. So the equation I'm going to graph is a quadratic. Right? So I'm going to graph x squared minus 8x plus 13. So the first thing I need is an x. If you don't know where the X is, it's right next to your green alpha button. There's a button that has X, T, theta, N. This is your variable button. So we can press that and we get our X. Next we need a squared. So if we go down to where the 7 is, and we go up 1, we see a comma, and to the left is the squared button. Pressing that makes it x squared. Now we need minus 8x plus 13. Alright, so you can see down here on the bottom the sequence of buttons that I've pressed to get to this point. So now that we have this equation in here, let's see a picture of it. Let's graph it. The top right button on our calculator will graph this. By default, your calculator will show the x-axis from negative 10 to positive 10, and the y-axis from negative 10 to positive 10. If your calculator is not showing this currently, we can easily fix that. You can do it manually in the window, which is the button right next to y equals, and change the x minimum, maximum, the scale, and then the same thing for the y's. Or you can hit the zoom button, which is the middle button at the top, and hit the number 6 for zoom standard, and that'll reset your window to the standard window from negative 10 to 10 for both the x and the y's. It is possible that you're graphing an equation that has intercepts that is outside of this range. If that happens, you can hit zoom 0, and that will do this zoom fit. So your calculator is going to try to fit all of the important characteristics into the window. Alright, but we are fine having these standard zooms. Let's go back to that, zoom 6. Alright, so I want to calculate the x-intercepts, or I want to tell the calculator to calculate the x-intercepts. So there is a calculate menu. We want to hit the blue second button, right below the y equals. And then we want to hit the trace button, which is the fourth button on the top, right next to that graphing button that we pressed earlier. This brings up a calculate menu, and our calculator can find various things. The one that we want to find is the 0. We're going to do that by pressing the number 2. So this brings us back to the graph, and notice on the bottom of our screen it's now asking us for a left bound. We can use the arrow keys, and if we start moving left or right, we'll notice a cursor on our screen moving along the graph. So what I want to do is take this cursor and go to where the intercept is, the x-intercept is approximately. Okay, we're not going to get it exact, but that's fine. The calculator is asking for the left bound. So once we get our cursor to about where the x-intercept is, I'm going to make sure that I go to the left a few times by hitting the left button 2 or 3 times and hitting enter. You'll notice that a vertical line comes up, And then I want to go back to where we think the intercept is. And notice it's asking us for a right bound. So we're going to do the same thing, but instead of hitting left a few times, we're going to hit right a few times. And it puts a vertical line on the right side of our intercept. So notice if we look at the intercept where we visually see it, it's between what we said the left bound was, that vertical line, and what we said the right bound was, that vertical line. If your intercept is not between these, then this is not going to work. Now, it's common misconception that you need to get these values incredibly close to the intercept. That is not true. They can be quite a bit far away. So give yourself some range. Don't try to make it as close as possible because your calculator might give you some errors, and we'll talk about that in just a bit. Then your calculator asks for a guess. This part is not necessary. We can skip this, or if you would like, you can take a guess by moving your cursor close to where the intercept is. So once we hit enter, it's going to tell us that the 0 happens at x being 2.267 and so on. It's going to give us the exact x-intercept point, and this happens when y is equal to 0. Alright, so this is our first intercept. This is a quadratic, so we have a second one. So let's do everything again, but for the next intercept. So we need to go back into that calculate menu. So I need to hit second, trace, and I want 0, I want number 2. Alright, so it's again asking us for a left bound. Now we've already done this intercept, so let's go to the other one. I'm going to go to where I think the intercept is, and because it's asking me for the left bound, I'll hit left a few times and hit enter. And it's asking me for the right bound, so I'll go to where I think the x-intercept is, and then I'll hit right several times and hit enter. And it's asking me for a guess, but I don't feel like making one, so I'll just hit enter. And it'll tell me that this 0 occurs when x is equal to 5.732, and so on, and this occurs when y is equal to 0, which is what we want. Alright, so we know how to find the x-intercepts using the calculator now. So let's talk about a couple of common errors that I see students make, and errors that the calculator will tell them when they do this on their calculator. So the first common error when doing this, they'll put a left bound here and maybe a right bound here and then make their guess, and it says no sign change. What this means is that our left bound or right bound, one of them, was not actually on the other side of the intercept. And this is why I said we want to make sure that we go a few places away from the left and from the right of the intercept. Right, so if I go left a few times and hit enter for my left bound, and I go right a few times from the intercept to make my right bound, we see that the intercept is between these two vertical lines. That's what we need to happen in order for it to the calculator to find the intercepts. The other issue has to do with the window, right? So like I said in the beginning, you might not see your x-intercepts, so you might have to adjust the window. You can do that manually, or you can use the zoom 6, the standard zoom, or you can use the zoom 0, the zoom fit, to make sure that you're seeing all of the important characteristics of the graph. Alright, well I hope this little tutorial was helpful. If you found it helpful, consider giving the video a like and consider subscribing to the channel for more videos like this and math lessons. Thanks for watching, good luck, and we'll see you in the next one.